Trump said that Chicago's next up in this performance art by the administration. I shouldn't be so flippant about it. He's testing the boundaries in his authoritarian takeover, but like, there's nothing that these National Guardsmen are doing that is beyond like just the intimidation factor and the aesthetic of fascism. Like that, there's nothing to address except for Donald Trump wants to see how far he can go.
Yeah, all the justifications are hysterical hyperventilations just for politics. The same thing about the supposed border crisis. And which, like, to the extent that it is like overwhelming and a huge problem, it's because we've caused people to be displaced, and also we've decided to stop taking asylum seekers from those countries that we've, distressed.
And the Washington Post reported that the Pentagon has been preparing for a military deployment to Chicago for weeks at this point. We mentioned how Trump is targeting Black high-profile civil servants, oftentimes the first Black woman in one particular role. I know that was the case with the Librarian of Congress, but also in his attempted firing or announced firing of Lisa Cook, although, as we said, he's prevented from doing that statutorily. We'll see how that legal fight plays out. But Trump reiterated his desire after announcing this to do this yesterday at the White House. This is when he was signing his executive orders on cashless bail and crime. And was this also the flag burning one?
Yeah.
Okay. For all the...
It was like a book signing.
Yeah, I know.
Just exactly.
Hand him over. Okay, yeah. Keep him going. We'll play this from the beginning where you see what this process is like for his sycophants to hand the dear leader the piece of paper to get his name on it. A lot of these are worthless. But especially, in my view, the flag burning one, which has been... there's pretty much no ambiguity with the Supreme Court decisions. And I think that's distinct from Roe v. Wade because it's such an explicit First Amendment protection. Now, never say never, but...
That's the thing is, does the Supreme Court want to decide to just completely overrule its credibility? The whole, what do they call it, stare decisis, or defer to previous decisions or whatever. Do they really want to jettison that for something stupid like this just because they're a little bit sensitive to the fact that in certain instances, it looks like it's more of a problem to burn the Israeli flag in America than the American flag. That's really, I think, why Trump is sensitive to this now.
Roe v. Wade is different because there was decades of basically legal vetting and promoting people within the conservative legal apparatus for the explicit purpose of overturning the right to an abortion in this country. And they were successful. We'll see if that happens with flag burning, but that's a bit of an aside because in the midst of the signing spree, he addresses his desired takeover of Chicago.
Okay, let's go. Could I ask you to say exactly what this is?
Of course. So
that was just my favorite part. He has no idea what's being put in front of him. All the right-wing media is obsessed with Biden and the auto pen. Trump may not have an auto pen software that signs for him, but he's basically auto Sharpie because there's nothing going on up there. And he puts no thought into anything he does. All projection. And also, he is deteriorating mentally very quickly. Pritzker points this out in his response, but here we go.
It's going to be very funny to see all the people say, how could you cover for Biden, cover for Trump for the next 3 years? Also, why is the World Cup trophy there?
Dementia done.
Get that gold World Trophy.
Oh my God, he needs another gold accessory. That's what the room needs.
So as you've consistently identified, sir, cashless bail policies are a key driver of the disorder we see on city streets all over America. Catch and release system allows criminals to keep going back out onto the street and reoffending. What this executive order does, it charges your attorney general with identifying jurisdictions all over the country that have cashless bail policies, and then it withholds or revokes federal funds and grants that are flowing to those jurisdictions to ensure that we're only supporting the people who have reasonable common sense policies around crime.
So what area does it cover?
Potentially anywhere that has a cashless bail policy. So some of the largest cities, some of the most left-wing states in America
Almost
have adopted.
all of them, right?
Illinois would be a great example of that, sir.
Oh, they have a great cashless bail. You don't even have to go to court sometimes. No, Illinois, I love that state. It's a great state. but it's run so badly by Pritzker. They threw him out of the family business, and he becomes governor. Now he wants to run for president. I don't think that's going to happen. Okay, we'll sign right here, right?
Sir?
So important.
Okay, that's it. Just the
Scraping of that.
the sycophants. Yes, sir. You have no idea what's being put in front of you, and you're about to sign it. But yes, sir. Oh, your infinite wisdom, which is in some ways no wisdom at all. No, stupidity is wisdom in this White House. So that's just kind of his gratuitous jab at Pritzker. He also made fun of his weight. I mean, God, glass houses here. But J.B. Pritzker stood up with Brandon Johnson. Other Chicago leaders were there. You can see that's Durbin in the background, and Tammy Duckworth was there too. They all did this joint press conference in Chicago, and the whole thing is worth a listen. But there are a bunch of really great parts here that Pritzker just nails Trump on. Obviously, he's auditioning for president in 2028. So is Newsom. But I find Pritzker to be a much more compelling option with more teeth behind him. Oh, he's got to distance himself from AIPAC. He's got to prove that he's a billionaire that wants to tax the hell out of other billionaires. There's a long way to go. But he's
already taking shots at municipal grocery stores, so I'm out.
You're out. I hear you. But I'm enthusiastic about partisanship that isn't from, Newsom, who was doing photo ops of ripping up homeless encampments. Like his level of sociopathy, I think, is a
I agree. I think
pretty
Pritzker's
intense.
a much better governor.
Yes, and also just like the messaging here is great. He kicks off the speech fairly early on, debunking some statistics about crime. Here we go.
So in case there was any doubt as to the motivation behind Trump's military occupations, take note. 13 of the top 20 cities in homicide rate have Republican governors. None of these cities is Chicago. 8 of the top 10 states with the highest homicide rates are led by Republicans. None of those states is Illinois. Memphis, Tennessee, Hattiesburg, Mississippi have higher crime rates than Chicago, and yet Donald Trump is sending troops here and not there? Ask yourself why. If Donald Trump was actually serious about fighting crime in cities like Chicago, he, along with his congressional Republicans, would not be cutting over $800 million in public safety and crime prevention grants nationally, including cutting $158 million in funding to Illinois for violence prevention programs that deploy trained outreach workers to de-escalate conflict on our streets.
He's right about that. Let's just take a look at crime rates in major cities put together here by Jeff Analytics. Scroll down all the way to the bottom where it shows the percent change in murders. Now, we've shown this chart. That we'll show that for a sec. Go up a little bit. No, go up back. Just to give people, this is national data. And I think this also bears repeating. Murder, fatal shootings, homicides. Nationally, this is all different data sets using you'll hear accusations from the folks who are
Lying about it.
scared of their own, either lying or so hysterical and scared of their own shadow that they become, bloggers or something.
Top representatives.
Yep. They will claim that the data's incomplete. The data's incomplete on all this other, it's really not. There are some cities with incomplete data. It's never there's some lags in reporting, but the overall trend is so significant that it would take major spikes in some of those cities to change the trend. And that kind of stretches credulity. This is overall from 2018 to 2024. You see huge spikes in 2020, as we know. And ever since then, 2022.
Because why? I think some people need this spelled out.
George Floyd effect.
Yeah, some people say it's because of the George Floyd effect. Others have maybe the sort of once in a century disruption caused by a pandemic to the functioning of society. But who knows?
People also increased desperation, paranoia, losing their jobs, massive disruptions to our society.
I guess the George Floyd effect wears off pretty quickly.
Right. 2023, huge declines, and then 2024 across the board, double digit, 14.3%, 12.6%, 12.2% nationally. That's the data we have for the first half of the year. Now let's go to the cities. What about all the murders in Chicago that Trump is preventing people from by sending here we go, the National Guard there? Chicago, when you compare 2025 to 2024, which was also a year where there was a significant decline, 30.6% decline for Chicago. New York City, the other city that's being targeted, murders, 23.2% decrease for the first half of the year. Some of the places where you're seeing increases, Kansas City, Milwaukee.
Like per capita, these are more the cities with worse problems.
But when you look at the difference in Milwaukee, that's a percentage change that can be misleading because it's literally an increase by 7 murders.
Right.
And the data is
that are sent to the National Guard.
Right. It makes absolutely no sense. And that's not where Trump is sending the National Guard. So Pritzker pointing that out was pretty great. Now, this part, what is part 2 here, Brian? Okay. No, it's all right. This is another part of the speech. Go ahead.
Is defunding the police. Action measures in Illinois that protect our kids against abuse and neglect. Trump is defunding the police. To the members of the press who are assembled here today and listening across the country, I am asking for your courage to tell it like it is. This is not a time to pretend here that there are 2 sides to this story. This is not a time to fall back into the reflexive crouch that I so often see, where the authoritarian creep by this administration is ignored in favor of some horse race piece on who will be helped politically by the president's actions. Donald Trump wants to use the military to occupy a U.S. city, punish his dissidents, and score political points. If this were happening in any other country, we would have no trouble calling it what it is, a dangerous power grab. Look at the people assembled before you today, behind me. This is a full cross-section of Chicago's leaders from the business world, the faith community, law enforcement, education, community organizations, and more. We sometimes disagree on how to effectively solve the many challenges that our state and our city face on a daily basis. But today we are standing here united, in public, in front of the cameras, unafraid to tell the president that his proposed actions will make our jobs harder and the lives of our residents worse. Earlier today in the Oval Office, Donald Trump looked at the assembled cameras and asked for me personally to say, "Mr. President, can you do us the honor of protecting our city?" Instead, I say, "Mr. President, do not come to Chicago."
A little more.
You are neither wanted here nor needed here. Your remarks about this effort over the last several weeks have betrayed a continuing slip in your mental faculties and are not fit for the auspicious office that you occupy. Most alarming, you seem to lack any appropriate concern as our commander-in-chief for the members of the military that you would so callously deploy as pawns in your ever more alarming grabs for power. As a governor, I've had to make a decision.
I liked his kind of mention, first of all, the trolling of Trump there and his declining mental faculties is fun. But at one point in the speech, he also mentions how many of the National Guardsmen are there unwillingly and could be basically prosecuted if they refuse to comply with some of these orders. I think it's easy for folks to forget that Trump is, while he calls himself the top law enforcement officer in the country falsely, that's Pam Bondi, although she acts as his proxy, he is the head of the military. And his command is supposed to be respected here. And this is a part of the dance that he's doing. I think Democrats need to start to be making some friends in the military. I'm not joking here. With the authoritarian crackdown continuing, starting to talking to people behind the scenes in case the worst case scenario happens.
I mean, I feel like they've been doing that for the last 10 years.
Well, yes, but like a strategy specific for this with Donald Trump. And here's the final clip of this. This is when, I guess, Pritzker kind of raps here.
This is about his response. How they're going to peacefully use every possible way to respond.
Great.
The state of Illinois is ready to stand against this military deployment with every peaceful tool we have. We will see the Trump administration in court. We will use every lever at our disposal to protect the people of Illinois and their rights. Finally, to the Trump administration officials who are complicit in this scheme, to the public servants who have forsaken their oath to the Constitution to serve the petty whims of an arrogant little man, to any federal official who would come to Chicago and try to incite my people into violence as a pretext for something darker and more dangerous, we are watching and we are taking names. This country has survived darker periods than the one that we're going through right now, and eventually the pendulum will swing back, maybe even next year. Donald Trump has already shown himself to have little regard for the many acolytes that he has encouraged to commit crimes on his behalf. You can delay justice for a time, but history shows you cannot prevent it from finding you eventually. If you hurt my people, nothing will stop me, not time or political circumstance, from making sure that you face justice under our constitutional rule of law. As Dr. King once said.
That's good. For me, that is Pritzker basically saying, if I become president in 2028, I'm prosecuting you guys. And I like that. I really do like that. I think that that should be the basically baseline position of Democrats going forward. Because the reason that we are at a point right now where Republicans like this feel like they can act with impunity is because Democrats have continuously rolled over regardless of what Republicans have done. Whether it be the egregious, unimaginable, unspeakable crime of the Iraq War, which killed up to 1 million people and hurt so many of our service members, PTSD in a needless war that was manufactured by the Bush administration, torture, war crimes, cover-ups, corruption. The Democratic Party let that go. Obama comes into office. It's time to turn the page. How about also on the financial crisis with Wall Street? Time to turn the page. No accountability here. Well, what happens when a guy like Donald Trump gets into office? He commits crimes. There were efforts at impeachment in Trump 1.0, but after he tried to stage a coup, shouldn't Biden have tried to prosecute the guy immediately in the way that other functioning countries like Brazil are doing? Now, Lula, his administration is independent from the efforts to go after Bolsonaro. But that's the kind of thing that that Biden should have done, appointing basically a special prosecutor to specifically prosecute Trump for a coup attempt in January 6th. He should have been prevented from running again in a functioning democracy.
Cory Bush introduced legislation to boot out the representatives who supported the Jan 6 coup. Where's she at now?
And right, exactly. And so I like that. That's a cocky move, saying basically if I become president, justice won't escape you. And
See, I didn't even read the president thing, and I viewed that as like rich guy thing, which is like I have resources, which is
Right.
this is why this is what you would want. I mean, I don't trust Pritzker. I don't trust him as a billionaire, but to the extent that you want to make yourself understandable to voters as a super rich guy, it is like, oh, I have. This is why Trump actually had some success, which is like I have the sort of wherewithal materially to stand up for you in a fight, and that's exactly what Pritzker should be doing right now, because it is, how this is all going to shake out down the line for the different people in things. That's sort of secondary. Like right now, there is an absolute emergency where Trump is using powers that like. Sure, I think the National Guard can be imposed on states when they're, say, not allowing black little girls to go into public school. This sort of thing where you create an entire fever dream about crime for campaign reasons, frankly. And now you have cities being occupied by the National Guard. Like that needs to be, everything needs to be thrown against that. You can't half measure that. And it can't even be about like, well, he doesn't have the right to do this, because like I said, like there are
Right.
situations where like, yeah, I think Abe Lincoln, had he lived, should have occupied the South for a long ass time. This has to be about like what this is, which is a lie about the state of our society and a use of the military to address it.
yeah, the jury is still out, but this is how you throw your weight around as a billionaire. And I am not Pollyannish about what it's going to take on this billionaire class, where we're at gilded age levels of income and wealth inequality. We have to break their backs with taxation. The question is what's the best mechanism to do it? If Pritzker chooses to, he can make a case saying, I'm the billionaire that will tax other billionaires out of existence. I shouldn't exist. My wealth shouldn't be this high, and I'll reject my past APAC connections. But he has to do that first. However, in terms of just like explicit partisanship, it's good to see. Versus Nancy Pelosi, like when she took over as leader for the Democrats in the House at the end of the Bush administration, this was not the position, because there were other Democrats that were complicit in the war crimes of the Iraq War, namely the woman that was supposed to be the front runner in that upcoming primary in Hillary Clinton. And Obama beat her, in part because of his
For that reason.
opposition to the Iraq War. And that's going to be the litmus test for Democrats. So yes, jury's still out on Pritzker, but he's at least providing, in my view, a baseline of how Democrats should approach these criminals in the White House. This is not just, Republicans win sometimes, Democrats win sometimes. These are incredible, unspeakable crimes. And it's not just against brown people in the Middle East. I mean, every administration seems to get away with that crap. But this is against American citizens. And it's against American citizens in their deportation regime. And I don't even care if they're citizens. It's against our neighbors who are Americans, regardless of their status, in my view, being thrown into concentration camps in Seacot, in Florida, tortured and abused. This authoritarian crackdown is unconstitutional by every metric. And they should be met with justice in a way that meets their crimes. And I like to see it.
And I mean, just to the point about the National Guardsmen, this is from Texas Public Radio, December 6, 2024. At least 17 National Guardsmen died patrolling the southern border, including several suicides. Like this is just senseless. And you see this sort of thing when it was going on in California, like they're sitting around just on backpacks. It's disgusting what we're doing as a government and as a country, like just marching kids around to occupy the National Mall in DC because like representatives from South Carolina think it's scary to be there. It's ludicrous.
Hey folks, don't forget to hit the subscribe button and check out our daily show. We do it every day at 12 p.m. Eastern for about 2.5 hours. We even take phone calls. You should check that out.